Hey everybody, it's the SketchCraft Morning Podcast. It means it's morning time, time to talk, time to wake up, time to drink coffee, time to make fun of Brandon. It's all starting here and now. Hey Brandon!
Hello, everybody.
Hey, he actually turned his mic on.
I did. That's you just gotta get in the groove of the day.
Sometimes I think I'm gonna go, hey Brandon, and I'll just hear the sound of you running out the door.
Yes.
It's like it's your house, you don't have to run away. Like speaking of your house, we've been busy this month. So the first of the month, I took a trip all the way down to Brandon's place.
Indeed, you did.
What an adventure that was. So we've been planning this trip for a while. I told everyone, don't you be expecting any podcasts. And
Right.
and the bots were silent because they only, they don't, no one actually listens to this. But for those that that swear they do, you were silent. Shame on you. But yeah, so it was a fun trip. This was not. I was nervous the last two times I got on airplanes. I had panic attacks.
Yes.
And I was like, it's only a 2 hour trip. What could possibly happen? It couldn't possibly. So this time I was prepared. I did nothing but eat blueberries and drink water. No caffeine. No caffeine whatsoever. And pretty easy trip. No real, I mean, this is a straight flight from Boise to Phoenix. Got on my rental and got on the traffic, and then I had a real panic attack. Phoenix traffic's no fun, Brandon. Like I don't,
Mm-mm.
it's like stepping right into Fury Road. You ever see that movie? Like,
Yes. I know it's not, the small town vibe you live in now where everything's calm and happy, but yeah.
I'm from San Diego though. San Diego,
Right.
like they got dumb drivers, but there's a level of aggression. See, in San Diego, they don't drive around with their shotguns strapped to the back of their motorcycles. Like people, like in Boise, it's open carry, but people still don't drive around with weapons strapped to their vehicles, like in Phoenix. Like it really, you guys are just one dirty bomb away from Mad Max. Like I
Yeah.
swear.
Yeah. We're one bad day away from Mad Max. We're already the desert, state anyway. So I mean, or so I at all costs avoid going downtown. So like when you said you were gonna rent a car and come to me, I was like, perfect. I don't even want to go anywhere near the downtown hub area. I'm like, that's why I live further away, much further away. I can't live down there, but close to that chaos. So, but you did. You made the trip down here.
Why don't you tell everyone what it's like to prepare for the arrival of SketchCraft? Because you were
Um,
texting me like, I was like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm trying to get ready. So she just, what was,
it's like I did a lot of cleaning, a
mm-hmm,
lot of organizing.
okay.
Uh, I knew I was going to be judged on every level of my all being. Um, it's very nerve wracking because as much as Rob sounds like he talks a lot on the podcast, when Rob's in person, he's a very quiet person to himself, almost scary like. He'll just sit there and observe, make facial expressions. He doesn't always engage. So it's a little nerve wracking to have someone just sitting there, not saying anything, you know. But it wasn't bad. It was a fun trip, you know. I think for you, I hope. Um, I think that was the first time I've seen you in what, 2 years, something like that. 2 years,
Yeah, like
give
in
or take.
person. Yeah,
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Since we did, I think the last time was the Vegas show. The last one we did. That might be the last time I actually saw you in person, or I might have came down before that. But yeah.
No, I came down to Phoenix 2 years ago for what? What did I do? Oh, no,
Oh,
no, yeah,
Jesse.
I went to go see my half brother, so I stayed at your place. and we did something else, didn't we? When I was down there.
You had an event for Kickstarter for Jesse's store or
Oh,
something like
that's
that.
what it was. Yeah, 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 yeah. So there was something I did for Tom, and he had some event that I showed up to. I think it was like Lights, Camera, Jungle. I think it was for that.
Sounds about
And
right.
then I was like, I'll go see my half brother. And then he's like, he lives out in Lake Havasu. So that's 3 hours one way, 3 hours back. That's a 6 hour round trip. So that was
Mm.
fun. I made that trip again too. That actually was fun. Surprisingly, like the trip out there, the trip from Phoenix, once you get out of Phoenix proper, it's like one road all the way to Havasu. Like kind of. It's one road, a right, and another road, and a right, and then you're there. So it's pretty uneventful. I spent the whole
Right.
time just working on Game Cave story stuff, just in my head, working all that stuff out. So, Brandon, want to tell everyone why I came down this time?
We are working on a board game, a turn-based tile setting board game.
For
And
about a couple years now, I've had you on this. Oh, about a year.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was always like, I never want to tell anyone because they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're working on a game, and you're not actually working on any of this Kickstarter stuff." Well, now that I'm paying out that Kickstarter, I can be like, "Look, working on this game. I ain't
right.
been doing shit." You know what I mean? Like all I've been doing is like telling you what not to do when you're like, "We came up with this." So I
Yeah.
have had these ideas for there's different storylines and stuff in Game Cave that I don't know if I'm gonna have a chance to do. So I had to pick the stuff that I'm going to work on. So Game Cave is kind of planned around 6 parts, each one sort of self-contained. And there was all this extra stuff that I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get to that. So, but I thought they were fun ideas. So they exist in the Game Cave, like, I don't want to say universe because everyone fucking has a universe now. They're like, here's my Game Cave universe, but I don't have another. So, you know what I mean? Like the verse, whatever. So it's in the same little universe. But I thought it'd be fun to get those stories out in different venues, and a board game is one of them. So I was like, Brandon, you play board games, right? And
Hmm.
you were like, no. Like
I do now.
so it took like a year of you playing I didn't make you play every board game imaginable, but I did like send you down to like game shops and start playing games with people and hanging out.
I had to do a lot of people interaction. I don't. I no, the words aren't coming to me this morning, but people, people, people. I just had to be around a lot of people talking and getting a lot of input and seeing what they like and a lot of smells and a lot of people in a lot of places.
Yeah. So
It was fun. It was definitely just a whole new different thing for me, but I enjoyed it because I'm being creative, and whether I'm making art or doing anything, as long as I'm being creative, it's fun for me. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I got to get this done. It was just a matter of like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but you guided me in the right directions. You art directed pretty well. I went.
I haven't done any art direction, really. So that's the reason
Well,
why I came
I
down.
mean, I mean, like advice or whatever you want to call it to tell us like, hey, give this a try. Go to the game shops. You need to like test it with people. You need to talk to people. You got to like
I
get
spent the
involved in the gaming community.
Well, I spent the better part of a couple years with my buddy working on a card game with him,
Uh huh.
sort of set around one of the ideas for Game Cave, and he got a really rare disease. It's called Wagner's disease or Wagner's disease. It's crazy. It's this autoimmune disease. It's really sad, dude. He's my art buddy. We've been really close. He was my best. He was the guy I was friends with when I met you, right? So I'm still
Hmm.
friends with him, but he's very he can only interact with people so often now. So um, working on a game is just he's not something he can do anymore. Like he's not physically able to do that sort of stuff. Um, so That put me kind of back at square one, but I knew, and I didn't want to just take the idea he and I had done, and be like, well, I'll go make the game without you. So I
Right.
was like, okay, well, I got these other ideas. So I did know the process, and he's super into gaming. My buddy Joe, he's been on the podcast before. Um, but he does play Magic, so he walked me through the whole process for a couple years of just going to game shops and taking a prototype and asking random people to play and how to play test and switching up different play styles and just switching different rule sets out. So I've been doing that with you remotely, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then you and your wife, Jess, have been slowly just building out the game. So I came down to play the final version of the game that you've made with a group of friends, and it'd be the first time I got to play it really. And then for me to have the final input, and then figure
Hmm.
out how I'm going to do the art. So the good news is the game as is works really fun. Super super easy. Not a hard game to get into. We had kids there; they could play it. Everyone got to play it. It's
All right.
got
The 12-year-old.
yeah. So we're calling the game Dungeon Heist. And so it it was really fun. I am there's one of those things where it's like the feedback is always like, oh, you could do this, this, and that, and that's always a good thing to have because if people are like, oh, you could do this, this, and that with something that you made, that means they're interested.
Yeah.
If they're like, oh, it's cool, and then they go and like eat pizza and walk out, then
Yeah.
um, there you go. That's so good. So we got that, but the one thing I do want to try is I do want to try an alternate mode, which just has a little bit more complexity, just to see what that's like. Because I don't ever want to make a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, now we make Dungeon Heist 2. Like, no, no, that's it, man. Like, so I thought it'd be good to use the version you have as like the base game, and then we can have a more complex version that right now, man, that base game can eat up 40 minutes depending on how you play it. Like it can be 15 minutes, it can be 40. Like it
Right.
really is.
Some of the One of the matches lasted, a good 30, 40 minutes. Another one was done in like 10 minutes. So that was the fun part.
Yeah, so that's awesome. But for those people that want to stick around for hours and really get into it, I do want to have that option, but that's going to just require some more playtesting. Um, which I know you are just so keen to do.
So excited.
You're gonna go back to that shop and they're like, I thought you said you were done. You're like,
I know. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember when
It
we
ain't.
were sitting there. I'll let you speak, but I
Yeah,
remember
go
we
ahead.
were sitting there kind of after we did the playtest, and I was going down like my ideas for things we could add, and this look of dread on your wife's face, like he's gonna not use anything we kept. And I could see that look. It's that half smile where you're smiling because you're being nice, but you don't know
All
if you
right.
want to reach over and strangle me to death. And so I stopped and I made sure I was like, uh, so we're keeping this version as is. Like this is this is how you learn to play the game. You
All
can't
right.
just do the hard mode first. It doesn't make any sense actually. Like we'll make sure we set up the rule set so you have to play your version first.
Right.
So, and for all I know, man, we could add complexity to it and the fucking game could just not be fun, you know?
Right.
And you could be like, well, it wasn't fun. So, but I was really keen on like making certain that whatever you guys made was easy, could fit on one piece of paper for the rule sets.
Yeah.
And that took that wasn't hard, right, Brandon?
it it was a lot of revisions, a lot of, and it's the funny thing is, it's not like, how do I say? Okay, so when you're doing revisions on a game, it's not like you're like, scrap that idea. You'll take that idea and you're just like, let's just tweak it a little. Let's just throw in this little add part, and then you throw it in the game, and you're like, that doesn't work. It breaks everything apart. So then and you're like, okay, back to the main idea of that, and you throw in the little idea and tweak it again and tweak it again. So it's small tweaks on just getting things right when you're making it. So it's very tedious, but it's not. It wasn't too crazy. Of like when you would throw out ideas at us, it wasn't like, oh great, we got to start all over. It's just like, no, you're on the right path. Just add this, try this, see if it works. If it doesn't work, we move on. So I thought that part, that whole thing was cool. And just to go back to the time, the playing the basic version, just I liked how everybody was really engaged in it, and they were like, once somebody won, they wanted to go another round. Like there was at one point where Andy, friend of the podcast, was he got trapped in a loop in the game, and he was getting so pissed off, and he's just like, I can't get out of this fucking loop, and he's getting so mad. And then he lost, and he's like, no, I want to play again. I'm going again. He didn't want to give up his chair at the game table. So that was probably like a highlight for me to see someone get frustrated because they're losing, but want to play it again. And I think that's always a good marker of a game where it's like, this is hard, but I want to keep playing. I want to keep going. So that's my mini rant there.
Yeah, it was fun. So, we started playing, and I'm immediately like writing notes, you
Oh,
know?
that was the worst part. That was the worst part. Rob would sit there, he leaned his chair back, and he's making this like, it's like when someone does with their mouth. I can't do it because you can't see me, but it's like like if they don't like something and they bring their cheek up or their jaw like eh, like that, like they're annoyed. He would do that after everybody does something, and then like a psychiatrist, he's just writing in his notepad, and you're like, what the fuck is that guy writing? And he's not saying a word to me. That was the most frustrating, like nerve-wracking part. I had to sit back like in the kitchen, and I'm watching Rob from the kitchen. I'm just eating pizza like down to my fingertips, just like fuck.
Yeah.
That was not fun to watch you play that first time. Yeah, pass on
Yeah,
that
but I
one.
had to get those initial impressions to so when I understood the game, I knew if they counted or not. Like
Hmm.
really had nothing. It did and didn't have anything to do with what was going on. It's just my thoughts the first time I play it because I'm not ever going to have the ability to have first thoughts ever again. And so that's how anytime I do anything for the first time, like I try to write down my thoughts on that. Because like I mean it's just I'm gonna loop again just because I can't stress this enough. You will never have your first thoughts on something after you've had your first thoughts on them. Like no matter I know it sounds so simplistic, but there's real value in recording. Anytime you're editing, like if you're editing, someone says, "Hey, here's my comic book script. Could you read it?" Or "Here's my comic book. Could you read it?" "Here's my movie. Can you watch it?" "Here's my CD. Can you listen?" The first time you do, just start writing. I mean, take it in, but
Hmm.
when you get a chance, write down, your experiences because um, I've just found that over the years, if I don't do that, like if I wait till I'm all done and then I write it down, I'll miss shit. So during in between turns, I was writing down just what I was observing, and then I didn't write anything for till the end of the night. Like I put it away after the first round, and then we just played the game, and then I went back and wrote my final thoughts, and then kind of compared the notes. So I can't keep that shit up in my head. Like I have to write it down. So I know like everyone around me gets all like, "Oh, Roswell being serious," but fucking, I mean a long time ago, right? long long time ago, like 30 years ago, I came up with this process, and I just don't give a shit what people think when I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like I can't fucking sit there and explain it to Andy and your friends and everyone else like how I fucking this is how I develop. Like I just like you don't even get a reaction out of me, right? Like
No, not at all.
which I know unnerves some people because they're always expecting that to happen, but I have to like focus in my own little zone.
Hmm.
But the benefit to that though is uh, I'm very clear in my notes. Like I'm able to very clearly write down my thoughts, so I don't have to sit there and think about it or like
Yeah.
ponder or stress. I bring that up because if you're out there and you're making something for the first time or the second time or the third time, and you don't really have a good process for self critique, um, and you want to develop one, you have to be able to shut out the entire world, even if you're in the middle of an entire world. And one of the ways that I learned how to do that was I used to write my scripts by hand in like a Burger King because they had free refills back in the day when no one else did. So I'd get
Hmm.
a coffee and a soda, and then I would just sit in that Burger King and abuse that fucking free refill. But with all the crazy chatter going on, it forced me to like focus on my own world while I was writing. And then when I would go and reread and rewrite, I'd have to do it with, crazy babies yelling, psychos coming
Right.
through the door, all that crazy fast food nonsense. Um, and that also helped me build a process of like when I write, dumping everything into a document, either by hand or by computer. And then when I go to rewrite, having my first, like, okay, I'm going to read what I just wrote and then have my thoughts on that and then self analyze. And doing it in a real noisy environment just taught me how to, like, not care. Because, I mean, look, you know as well as I do, Brandon, if you feel self conscious about what everyone else is thinking about you, it's very difficult to, like, be honest with yourself. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Oh man, I hope these people think I'm cool." How can I fucking honestly, like, I'm not going to get that experience back if I wait
Yeah.
till everyone leaves. And for all I know, people could leave 6 hours from now. 6 hours from that point. So, you know, it went really well though. And I was
Yeah. I
super
mean, like
pleased with it.
nobody, nobody seemed to be having a bad time. Like
What else did
we
we Well, what else did we do?
we went and got tacos. Well,
Oh, we
first we
went.
had tacos brought to us, but it was much better once we actually went
So,
into the taco place.
why don't you tell them you go to this place called Tacos Chiwas?
I do tacos Chiwas in Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah, and you took me
Eh,
there, and you guys brought me tacos the first time, and they were dry as shit.
They
They're
weren't dry.
super fucking dry, guys. Like it was,
No, they
oh
were
my
not.
god, oof. It was tough. And
No.
so sauces were good, but whatever. So Brandon, the whole time I'm eating, he's like, "Oh man, what do you think? What do you think? They're kind of dry though, huh? Kind of dry. Yeah, they'll be better tomorrow." And I'm just like, well, "Whatever, bro. Like you really want me to like someone else's tacos so much?"
Well, I love them, whether you like it or not, whether it was a bad night or a good night.
So
Once you
then
go in there and it's fresh.
So then we went to the place, physically went
Uh-huh.
there, got them
Yeah.
fresh,
Hmm.
and they were tasty. But man, dude, the sauces are spicy, which I like. But that place didn't have anything to drink other than fizz or water. Like no
Well,
horchata, no cream, no nothing. Like
well, like I said, that's their newest location that doesn't have their horchata machine or nothing else that's came in yet because it just opened up like a month ago. And the one that's in down closer to downtown by the airport where we weren't going to go has
Mhm.
their full on everything. It's their big one. This one's more like the pop up getting started on the east side.
Yeah, well,
So
so I had to get
yeah,
a milk tea
unfortunately,
boba afterward, and I was pretty full, but I needed some kind of cream because I shoved a lot of hot sauce in my mouth. And then the next day I met up with some friends from high school, and then my aunt and uncle who live in the area took them to this India place. Oh, what is the India place? It's pretty good, dude. I cannot remember right now. It's indoors, super nice. I don't like a lot of buffets, but they were amazing food because my wife's headed out to India. That's where she is right now. And so I go in there. I'm like, yeah, my wife's like, she's heading out to India. And then all the guys were like, where's she going? And I'm like, New Delhi, and no, 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 no. And then they were like, "You're my best friend." Like they were hugging me on the shoulder, bringing me out all the fucking naan I want. It was awesome. I was like one of the family. I'm like, this is great. So that was awesome. And then I drove out to Lake Havasu and I ate at this place with my half brother called Taco. What was it Taco? It's another taco, Mexican, right? What's it called? Tacos Chicos. Tacos Chicos.
I don't know.
Yeah. You talk for a second. I'm gonna look this one up.
Or I was gonna have to search. Anyways, the tacos weren't that dry. Rob exaggerates. Don't let his hateful taste buds fool you. Rob exaggerates. Just like when he
Ah,
says,
here we go. Here we go. It's
okay,
Chico's Tacos. That Mexican food was amazing. Like, I gotta tell you, Brandon. thoroughly impressed with that food. It's crazy because it only has a 4.5. Don't that fucking review? Fuck those reviews. That food was fucking. I mean, that look. They got. I think someone rated their fucking. They got a bullshit hot dog and ketchup option for assholes who order fucking burgers. And
Oh,
they
is that
talk.
like their Sonora dog or whatever?
Yeah, but their fucking their straight up food is really really good. Salsa bar is excellent, but yeah, super good. So that was really awesome. And then I had to drive all the way back on. Oh my god, a lot of food. I ate a lot of food, Brandon. I put on like 5 pounds. I have to work that off.
There you go. That's the spirit.
But it was fun hanging out with my half brother. I only get to see him every couple years. So he's in a
Rob
band.
went. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Rob went to go see his half brother. Me and my wife went to go get wings while he was gone, and our waiter literally looked like a clone version of Rob. It was
Well, it
the
looked like
weirdest.
Sling Blade version of Rob. Like, like, you sent me a photo, and I'm like, that's me. If like,
You might have
Billy
two half
Bob,
brothers, is all I'm saying.
Billy Rob Thornton. Billy Bob SketchCraft.
It looked enough like Rob that. Did you send it to your wife or no? I sent it to Andy.
What Andy said.
Oh, he said, did you send that to Rob? It looks just like him. I was like, and he's like, oh, he said just without the glasses or some shit like that. And I was like,
My
yeah.
wife, my wife thinks I look a lot better than that, but
I mean, I'd say I don't want to compliment you because I hate you, but I'd say, you're better looking than that guy.
Well, I
But
think that guy drinks a lot. I don't want to be mean, but I'm looking at like, so if I had an alcohol problem, that would be
right.
it. Like, or if I just drank a lot regularly.
But the thing was, he was the same height as you,
Hmm.
had the same hairstyle as you, the scruff. He
Like,
even walked like Rob. And
that's what I was
for
waiting
most
for.
people that don't know, Rob has this walk that's he paces himself very, very melodically for being,
Look,
sick.
after the army, I have one speed. All right, and I get
It's,
there when I get there.
yes, it's, there's times where I'm walking to the car and I have to look back for Rob. Kind of like, when a parent checks back for a kid to make sure they're still close to them. That's how it is. Me and Rob walk into the mall and I'm looking back. I'm like, did I lose Rob? Where? And, here he comes just around the corner, just slow and steady. Just dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, it
dun,
pisses
dun,
off
dun.
everyone I know. But then I read this whole article once.
It's a nice sway to it.
Look, I read this article about people who power walk everywhere suffer from high anxiety. So, like I'm definitely not getting anxiety attacks from that shit. It's definitely not my walking.
No,
So, no, I figured out
definitely.
what it is, by the way. So, apparently I've paid too much attention to politics the past couple years. Talked it through with my doctor. She's like, "Yeah, you need to like stop." Like so
Yeah.
our fucking president, dude, whether you love him or hate him, you got to admit, is dragging the whole fucking world into a stupid fucking television show of a presidency. It's just driving me fucking crazy. I mean, I just can't get away from it. Every time I turn around, is my 401k ruined or not ruined? Are we going back to war, not going to war? So just, oh, it grates on you, man. So like,
Yeah.
now that my wife's gone for the week, I was like, maybe my doctor doesn't know what she's talking about. So I had some free time yesterday. I'm supposed to do this podcast, but I'm like, yeah, screw it. I'm going to sit in my room and read Twitter and see what happens. Sure enough, after about 6 hours of Twitter, felt the anxiety coming on. I'm like, look at that. I gave myself a panic attack. Okay, time to breathe, do yoga. I went out and swimming, came back, relaxed.
Yeah.
Ate some yogurt, no sugar. So it is true, man. Like it's not like I walk around all mad too. That's why I was shocked. I'm like, I'm not walking around ranting at this dude, but I suppose there are things that can build up in your head uh, under the surface, which is
Right.
I know like to people who suffer mental anguish or just have general anxiety issues, they're like, no shit, Sherlock. But I've not really had those problems before. Or if I have, I just haven't noticed. You know? I'm, I'm pretty positive there's something wrong with me. I've just been like, that's normal, right? So,
Right.
uh, this probably explains a lot. So, so I turn that all off, and just gotta laugh some more. I let Brandon like read the alphabet, and Tyke always gives me a chuckle. Right, Brandon?
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask you to spell words, and I don't let you look it up. That's fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So moving forward, what do you? We're gonna wrap this up here. What was the trip? What was the trip like back? What was it like having me over at your house for 3 or 4 days? What's the verdict?
It was nice to. It was nice seeing you, Rob, but it was also nice not having another person in my home.
Your apartment's pretty small for 2 people and a big dog. So
It's not. Listen, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna post a video so everyone can see. I have a very big front room here for the art area, and then there we have a couch and a TV because that's all we need in the front room. And then we have 2 walk-in closets. It's roomy enough for us. We
yeah,
don't need a
that's what
lot.
I said. It's roomy enough for you. You throw me into the mix, and it's like one of us has to live in the closet. So,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you know,
So I'm
no,
not saying it's a small apartment. I'm just saying that it's
I
just
just I'm
enough.
just I'm just giving you shit. I don't care. I just made sure it wasn't cluttered so I don't have to hear the hoarding jokes.
That you guys were becoming hoarders the last time I was there. I had to. I don't like
Uh-huh.
stepping in, but I had to step in and go. Hold on,
Rob's
everybody.
Rob's such a life coach. I appreciate it.
Well, I know where things can end up. I see my
Uh,
parents, who were so organized when I was a kid, devolve into just madness, just like Chuck on Better Call Saul. It's sad. So I don't want to see you end up like that, Brandon.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey,
Your concern means everything.
that's what moderate acquaintances over the internet are for.
That's
All
what I would describe
right,
it as.
let me start the. Okay, there's no outro music. All right. Well, Brandon, that's about it. You wanna add
I
anything
want
else?
I want that to be the name of the podcast. Moderate acquaintances.
All right. Well, that's it, everybody. Brandon, say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
That was fun, huh? Wasn't it? We learned a lot. Brandon learned to not mute his mic when I say goodbye. He still thinks I'm talking to him. So that's it, folks. That's the morning podcast, episode whatever, because I haven't looked at it. It's been like a month. I gotta go look that up. We learned a lot. We learned that I can't have any caffeine when I fly. We learned that I gotta stay off Twitter. And we learned that Brandon may or may not become a hoarder depending on how involved I get in his life. Moderate acquaintances over the internet. Goodbye.